Gaza is under siege, brothers and sisters. Even today, after some 4.5 to 5 months of the utter massacre of 1,500 Palestinian men, women, and children, some 6,000 people brutally injured, tens of thousands of Palestinian homes damaged or destroyed. To this day, the Israelis continue to deny food, water, and medicine, and the people of Gaza, to this day, continue to suffer under the boot of the American-Israeli blockade of the Gaza Strip.
When Gaza is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back! We're here today to say no to that occupation, no to the siege, and end all U.S. aid to Israel.
It's a crime that medical supplies, food, and building materials are not being permitted to get into Gaza. South African dock workers did is when the first Israeli ship went into the port of Durban, they struck against the ship. They refused to unload that ship. That was an example of the power that workers have throughout the world. If we are able to follow that kind of brave and courageous example set by the South African dock workers, then we can force the Israeli siege to end against the Palestinian people.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The occupation's got to go!
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The occupation's got to go!
We give Israel $3 billion in annual aid for economic and military use, while back in the U.S., we are in an awful economic crisis. Our schools are closing. We have a massive loss of jobs. And our major companies are going bust.
We totally condemn the genocide inflicted on the Jewish people in Europe by the Nazis. We also condemn the persecution of the Jewish people all over the world, but we also condemn profoundly Zionism for utilizing the secret beliefs of the Jewish people in order to manipulate that belief to create a state by the rich, powerful Jews in Germany and Europe who negotiated with the Nazis. They silent about the genocide going on in Europe against the working people, the working Jews there. Israel today is doing to the Palestinian people the same thing that the Nazis did to them. Challenge the Zionists who are over there to prove to themselves and to the world that the promise of God is to have a state in which Palestinian children, women, and the old people live in concentration camps, just like the Nazis did to the Jews in Europe. But I really want to challenge you, brothers and sisters over there, is to look into his book to find out what the promise of God is really all about. It's a promise of one land, one state, one country, Palestine. Palestine, where all his children will live, whether they're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, or Gentiles, where all the descendants of Isaac and Ismael will be free. Free, free Palestine! Free,
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
And every time I walk the streets of San Francisco and see how many people are homeless in the street and live under miserable, dangerous conditions of poverty, those in the street, those in the SROs, those who go hungry every day, the children who don't have sufficient education in the classrooms, the teachers, the healthcare workers who face layoff, and then we see that billions of dollars are poured into Israel to murder Palestinians and deny them their homeland, to bomb their homes, to destroy the place that they live. And then the people here are lied to about the role of Israel. It makes me say today, I salute every one of you who stands up for Palestine. If the people of the United States knew how much of their tax dollars and all their efforts for their own lives at home were going toward repression, in Palestine, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and now Pakistan, or anywhere else that the U.S. has 700 military bases, they would shut down the government's operation immediately, because the people of the U.S. are not for genocide. They just don't know enough of what's going on. And so our presence is the conscience of the people of this country.
And they say that we will starve the people of Gaza. That we will starve the people of Gaza. My family in Gaza just a few months ago, when they were bombed, they didn't have a shelter to go to. My aunt had to distribute her family into different rooms and different homes so that when a bomb descends, it doesn't kill the whole family all at once. What kind of justice is Obama talking about? What planet is he living on?
Obama tried to give us a lesson about the utilitarian function of violence. He is instructing us to follow the examples of many liberation movements, South Africa as well as the America here in the US, telling us that violence is not the way to go. And we could say that non-violence is definitely a strategic option. But if Obama is giving us a lesson, I say, do as you say in relations to your policy. But if you are experiencing and practicing violence on the world, it is hypocritical to blame those who are oppressed as they choose to mimic their oppressor in challenging the oppressor and tell them that violence does not work while bombing them from abroad by the drones and the planes and the bombs. Violence was only spoken in relations to the Palestinians. Violence was spoken in relations to the Palestinians as if we're speaking that the DNA of the Palestinians is only two DNAs, either death or violence, which in either way is a result of one or the other. But no mention whatsoever of the systematic violence that has been practiced by Israel since its inception, if not before. Systematic structure of violence that has been used against the Palestinians from the inception. The first bombing of cafes was not the work of the Palestinians. It was the Zionist movement in Palestine, in Jaffa and Haifa. The first bombings of railroad was not the work of the Palestinians. It was the work of the Zionist movement as well as the British. It was not the Palestinians that have brought about violence. We've been the victims of violence. But Palestinians do use violence. And you might blame them for using violence, and that's acceptable. You could disagree with the people for the strategy that they pursue, but don't mix critique of the strategy with nullifying the right of people to choose their strategy.
We believe this, that now there is the chance, the opportunity to go forward. We should go forward and support the Viva Palestina convoy that George Galloway and Ron Kovic are leading up. We should support the boycott, divestment, and sanctions campaign, the BDS campaign. We should do what we can do to take the word, the reality of what's happening there to as many people as possible, to take it everywhere. Palestinian people whose struggle is at the heart of the struggle of the Middle East have been counted out time and again. But they have not been defeated, and they will not be defeated. And there will not be peace in the Middle East until there's justice for the Palestinians. There will not be peace in the Middle East till there is the right of return. There will not be real peace in the Middle East until the U.S. gets out of the Middle East. The slogan that we have all chanted so many times, the road to peace, U.S. out of the Middle East, is as true in 2009 as it has ever been. Let's continue the struggle. Let's continue together. We will win. Thank you.